Everything begins with something ridiculous. So absurd that if you heard it for the first time today, you would laugh. You would dismiss it in seconds. You would say, that makes no sense. And yet, millions of people believed it, defended it, repeated it, taught it, and some died for it. This is where everything becomes uncomfortable, because the question is not how they believe that. The question is, what makes you think you wouldn't do the same? Today you are going to see how an absurd idea not only survives, but becomes collective truth. And when you understand the process, you will begin to see the signs everywhere. The idea was simple. Too simple. Dangerously simple. A group of people was responsible for a nation's problems. Not everyone. Only them. Different. Threatening. Hidden. The solution seemed logical. Eliminate the problem. Eliminate them. Today it sounds brutal. Obvious. Unacceptable. But at the time, it was considered reasonable. Even necessary. This is not an experiment. It is real history. And it has a name, the Holocaust. How do you go from an absurd idea to a truth accepted by millions? It does not happen all at once. It never happens all at once. It starts small. Almost invisible. First, a narrative. A repeated message. A leader with conviction. Adolf Hitler did not begin with concentration camps. He began with words. With speeches that seemed to give meaning to chaos. Germany was wounded after the war. Humiliated. Lost. And when a society is confused, it does not seek truth. It seeks clarity. And someone appeared offering exactly that. A simple explanation for a complex problem. And there, something activates. Because the human mind prefers a simple answer, even if it is false, rather than a complex one, even if it is true. But this does not remain in the realm of ideas. It becomes a system. It is repeated, reinforced, normalized. Here something darker enters. Repetition creates familiarity. And familiarity feels like truth. Propaganda, media, education. Everything begins to align. Not because everyone agrees, but because everyone is exposed to the same thing. And what you constantly see stops seeming questionable. It begins to seem obvious. This reveals something disturbing. You do not need everyone to believe. You only need no one to question. And here a silent shift happens. The idea stops being external and becomes identity. It is no longer that thing I heard. It becomes this is who I am. And when an idea merges with identity, criticizing it feels like a personal attack. And at that point, logic stops mattering. But something is still missing. Something crucial. Because even then, not everyone is convinced. Then fear appears. Not only fear of the enemy, fear of not belonging, fear of being next. And that changes everything. Because now, not believing has a cost. And believing protects you, even if it is a lie. And suddenly, the absurd no longer seems absurd. It seems inevitable. Correct. Even. Moral. Ordinary people. Doing unthinkable things. Not because they were born that way, but because they arrived there, step by step, without noticing the exact moment they crossed the line. Here is the most dangerous part of this entire story. No one inside the system believed they were the villain. They believed they were doing the right thing. Protecting their country. Defending their people. Acting logically. And that is what turns an absurd idea into a devastating reality. You do not need something to be true. You only need it to feel true. Now the question changes. It is no longer, how could they believe that? It becomes, what ideas today seem normal, but in the future will seem absurd? Because the mechanism never disappeared. It only evolved. It is still there. In speeches. In social media. In trends. In what gets repeated. Without being questioned. And the next time you hear something that everybody knows, pause for a moment. Because right there, exactly there, is where the most dangerous ideas begin. And if you do not learn to see it, you will not only believe it, You will defend it. If this topic awakens something in your mind, then you still haven't seen the most important part. If you want to understand it clearly, I've prepared something very special for you, the Invisible War. You can find it in the link in the description below.